Let's talk about what is exactly happening in these recently listed new age tech stocks, be it Paytm, be it PB Fintech, Nykaa, you have Nazara, you have a couple of them that have listed over the course of 1.5 year, and most of them have been actually under pressure. Paytm has been the classic case of a counter that has actually eroded most of the investor wealth. We've got a lot of queries coming in from our viewers telling us what next for these counters, what should they do, because most of them got allocated during IPO. Most of them invested when there was a downtick, hoping that they would make sharp returns. So to talk more on that, we have our experts today, Shahina, Mukadam, as well as Kunal, Bothra, who are joining us. Good morning, Shahina. Good morning, Kunal, to you as well. And Shahina, I come to you on this topic, spoken a lot about it while introducing both of you all. A lot of our investors, a lot of viewers have written to us saying what is next for these new age tech stocks. There was a lot of flair when they were listing. A lot of them took positions in it. A lot of them got allocated as well during IPO. But now they are sitting on heavy losses. So what's the prospect ahead? What should they do?
Good morning. Yeah, I think the best time to have booked was when they listed for most of these new, I would say, age IPOs. If you're still holding it, I think even from here, despite the fall that most of them have seen, I still see that there is a potential of correction. See, because what has happened is that the listings and in fact the offer price itself was extremely expensive. If you're talking of something like 10 times revenue market cap, I mean those were the type of valuations we never like really were positive on ever. So it was a sentiment that was driving these stocks. They listed at, most of them listed at good premiums. And after that, once you started the tightening of the US Fed balance sheet, I mean, when they indicated the hawkish stance, it was always there in the on the cards. But when actually investors saw the correction taking place in the US FANG stocks, I think that is when the sentiment for these stocks, even for the Indian new age stocks, really took a beating and we started correcting. Once that started happening, and then you have these global factors, you have such a lot of issues that are still likely to play out in terms of numbers coming forward. You have crude, which is more than $100 even today. So I think to that extent, the sentiment in the overall Indian market still remains at best neutral after this big correction that we've already seen in the overall market. So unless the overall sentiment for the market improves, these stocks which continue to remain at very high valuations even today, I don't think that you're going to see some big money coming in and flowing in and taking the stock prices higher. So why should a retail investor buy in current levels? Just wait. I still see that there is a potential of correction. And once the market stabilizes over a period of time, couple of say weeks, months, then you could look to enter selectively in stocks which have value.
Understood. All right. Kunal, I'm coming to you, and good morning to you as well. Uh, Limited data, I'm sure, on quite a few of these counters, considering the amount of time that they've been listed for. But what advice would you give? Shahina says there's no reason for you to jump in right now. What if you've invested, and I think you weighed in on Paytm just last week when the crash happened, and you said that it's entered oversold territory, and perhaps it's not such a good idea to sell if you're looking to exit. What advice would you give individuals on the basis of how they're doing on the charts?
Good morning, Alex. Good morning, everyone. So I think start of these stocks, they actually start off with at a point when the sentiment on the new age listed stocks was extremely high and buoyant, and which is why you saw a great response. But when I look at the charts right now, even though the data is just about some 5 months, 4 months for few of them, charts sold. Now, we've seen this kind of price action, so it's more to do with more sentiment kind of an action. So the sentiment was extremely positive when the stocks were listing at their all-time high levels, and now when the stocks are down 50%, 60%, some of them even more, the sentiment is extremely negative. So this has got to do with the price fluctuations which has happened to these names. When I look at these charts, when I look at the indicators, they're extremely oversold. For many of the stocks. So, for example, Policy Bazaar as well was a stock which was in a very similar kind of a trajectory. Nykaa, was also in a similar trajectory since last week. And look at both these stocks when they've recovered from their, week 10-day lows for themselves. So these stocks have recovered I think somewhere in the tune of 15% to 20% on an average from their recent swing lows. So that's the kind of nature of indicators which have been built into these names. So I would probably keep it very short term oriented because of the shortage of data history in price history in terms of data for these stocks. But looking at the short term charts, these stocks are definitely into an oversold territories.